Could LIV Golf put an end to the PGA Tour? If things continue like this, LIV Golf could soon become the biggest and best golf league in the world. Greg Norman and his team are innovating every day to make this happen, and the league's main objective, supported by Saudi Arabia, is to break the PGA Tour's monopoly. But this is not an easy task, and new challenges arise every season. To make this a reality, no one is better than Greg Norman to coordinate LIV for its bold objectives. For this season, LIV has launched another novelty, its own app that promises to revolutionize the way golf fans follow the sport. But the question that golf lovers are asking is, what is the real objective of the Saudi League with the app, and how can this help LIV become bigger than the PGA? Let's detail everything for you right now. Since its first season in 2022, LIV has aimed to be a rival tournament to the PGA Tour, which until then held a monopoly on golf, but at that time, few people believed in Greg Norman and his team. But it didn't take long for the first contracts with big players to appear. Due to the multi-million-dollar contracts, many golf fans doubted the league's potential, stating that LIV only had money and did not have a long-term growth and development plan. At this point, the PGA Tour saw itself threatened for the first time and, as a way of intimidating the athletes, began to threaten them, stating that if they changed to LIV Golf, they could not participate in the majors. And the threat worked. Several players who were about to leave the PGA Tour for LIV Golf were scared and changed their minds. But this did not scare golfers like Mark Leishman and Cameron Smith, who ended up leaving the PGA and going to LIV Golf. After them, several other players accepted LIV Golf's million-dollar contracts, but even so, the PGA maintained its position, stating that if they changed leagues, they could not compete in the majors, and this continued to scare PGA Tour golfers. But when everything seemed calm, and the PGA would not lose any more athletes due to threats, a statement shook the golf world and made the PGA rethink its attitude. Augusta National announced that any player, regardless of the league they belong to, could participate in the 2023 Masters. According to President Fred Ridley, the Masters would not get involved in issues related to the PGA Tour and LIV Golf, so all eligible players would be invited to participate in the tournament, as since its creation, what the Masters seeks is to bring together the best golfers in Augusta. This statement had already shaken the PGA, but what they did not expect was that the Open Championship would do the same. The decision of Augusta and the Open Championship was widely celebrated by Greg Norman and the entire Saudi League. Little did Jay Monahan and his team know that LIV sought to become even more recognized worldwide this year. To make this viable, Norman closed a deal with the CW television network. A broadcasting contract for the current season was one of the league's main objectives since its inception. And when the PGA thought that nothing else could happen for LIV to become even more globally known, LIV launched its own app for streaming game broadcasts. Greg Norman's focus is not just American viewers, he wants the league to be known worldwide and needs to offer alternatives so that everyone can access LIV golf competitions in some way, so the idea of launching its streaming app emerged. The LIV Golf Plus app and the livegolfplus.com website will broadcast all LIV Golf events worldwide, giving greater visibility to golf, LIV Golf, and, most importantly, the athletes. With the app's launch, fans worldwide can watch live the current and upcoming seasons of LIV Golf, which debuted this year in Mayakoba, Mexico. Will Stranger, media director of LIV Golf, celebrated the launch of the app and said that it will allow fans from all over the world to watch live coverage of all the events of the Arab-sponsored league. Following the content distribution scheme of other major leagues, the LIV Golf Plus streaming app allows easy access to our content by more people in more places, reaching from the traditional golf consumer to the sports and entertainment fan discovering golf for the first time, said Stranger. He further stated that golf fans from anywhere on the planet can watch the best players of LIV in all the events of the season. The app can be found in over 180 countries on both Apple Store and Google Play. But if you think that's all, you're mistaken, the Arab League has more news. Through the website livegolfplus.com, it will be possible to watch the broadcasts, and in addition, Fire TV will support the app. LIV invests millions of dollars to ensure the best transmission for the viewer, including coverage of drone-made images. In addition, the app features statistical graphics and live scoring. A differential of LIV broadcasts is that they show twice as many shots per hour compared to traditional golf coverage, making the transmission much more dynamic and interesting to watch. LIV had some changes during this year's preseason, both in teams and new players. The new hires for this year were Thomas Pieters, Mito Pereira, Danny Lee, Sebastian Munoz, Dean Burmester, and Brendan Steele. In December of last year, Brendan Steele had confirmed that he was not interested in participating in LIV, but later changed his mind. Thomas Pieters was called in to replace Hudson Swafford. Pieters commented that he had been waiting for some time for the contact to switch to LIV Golf. His participation in LIV could mean missing out on the next Ryder Cup. The UK will decide if he can play on the DP World Tour and be eligible for the Ryder Cup now that he is a golfer of LIV Golf. Some say that Thomas Pieters is not happy with some of the PGA Tour's decisions. This happened shortly after he failed to qualify for the Genesis Invitational, despite being in a good position in the world golf rankings. Pieters did not hide his frustration and said that the Genesis is one of his favorite tournaments. If we consider that after his switch to the LIV Golf League, he may be prohibited from participating in PGA Tour events, he will probably not participate in any Genesis tournaments in the coming years. Sad to miss my favorite tournament of the year. Despite being 34th in the world, I didn't qualify, Pieters tweeted on February 15. We are eager to see what the next steps will be in the dispute between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf. We can say that the launch of streaming broadcasts of the Arab League was very important in giving more visibility to golfers and the entire league. According to the Daily Mail, the league sponsored by the Arabs tried to negotiate a broadcasting contract in the UK, but was unsuccessful. LIV considers the UK to be a very important country for broadcasting, and therefore there were talks to offer broadcasting rights for free to a network, but there were no agreements and the matter could not be settled at that time. Therefore, LIV chose to make its events available via streaming app and website for golf fans living outside the United States. We can say that something similar happened when the league supported by the Arabs sought a television network to broadcast the matches. In the initial discussions, the CW network was not in the plans, the preference was for Fox Sports and some other broadcasters, but as the partnership with Fox and the other broadcasters was not successful, LIV chose to reach an agreement with the CW network to broadcast events to over 200 million households. After everything we've seen in the last 2 years, and especially the high investments made this season, we can say that LIV Golf is here to stay and perhaps change the course of golf. Greg Norman criticized the PGA by stating that his league is already changing the course of golf through innovative formats, but it seems that those who had a monopoly on the sport are not liking it. The PGA Tour has been known for years for its monopoly on golf events, so it is not happy with the growth of LIV Golf, as it feels its monopoly is being threatened. It is worth noting that Phil Mickelson and 10 other LIV Golf players filed an antitrust lawsuit contesting their suspensions by the PGA Tour. The lawsuit was filed after the PGA threatened to permanently ban players who went to LIV Golf from participating in majors. The action also states that the athletes suffered various sanctions as soon as they left the PGA and joined LIV. In addition to threats to athletes, the PGA Tour made serious threats to sponsors, suppliers, and agents to try to intimidate players who were leaving for the Arab League. But even with all the threats made by the PGA, the league sponsored by Saudi Arabia is growing and gradually ending the PGA Tour's monopoly that has existed for many years, and this is bothering many people. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive all the most important golf news.